Welcome everyone to the second town hall here at the Waxter Senior Center. I am Sadia McKeith and I will be your MC today. Thank you louder? Thank you so much for being here today. I'm going to move us pretty quickly to our opening remarks. We will first have greetings. We're going to go into a presentation. We will have a question and answer period, some discussion and share out, and then a closing remarks. In order to get us started, I'd like to hand it over first to Dr. Michelle Taylor, Commissioner of Health. We will be following Dr. Taylor with Assistant Deputy Mayor Crystal Billups. Following that, Councilman Jones sends his regard. A family member is ill today and he will not be able to make it. Finally, Councilman Blanchard from District 11 will share some opening remarks. Without further ado, Dr. Michelle Taylor.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, that was a good morning. Usually I have to do it again, so I appreciate that, you all. I'm sorry. Bring it up. I'm a little taller, you all. I used to have people in Memphis come up to me and say, I didn't expect you to be so tall. All right, good morning. Everybody looks great despite the weather, and I really appreciate having this crowd here in spite of all the rain, especially after the beautiful days of sunshine that we've had. Thank you all so much for participating in our second town hall. I want to thank Councilman Blanchard for joining us today, as well as Assistant Deputy Mayor Billups. Thank you all for being committed to finding a path forward that honors how important this senior center is to our community. Thank you also to our agency partners, the Department of General Services and the Department of Planning, for being here today. We sincerely appreciate your close collaboration on this. And last but certainly not least, I want to especially welcome and thank the Waxter Center members. You are why we are here today. As many of you know, this is the second of a series of town halls we are holding to discuss the future of the Waxter Center. Last town hall, we introduced what's happening with the Waxter Center. The center's HVAC system has failed, meaning it will no longer be safe to hold programming here when the summer comes. In addition to the HVAC, there are also other extensive repairs that need to be made. As we shared last time, our plan is to move to a new building for approximately 2 years, while the Waxter Center is redeveloped. Of course, this is an estimate, and you all know that construction projects can be unpredictable. But I want to be upfront with that we are talking about a multi-year process. Right now, we have 2 next steps that are happening at the same time. 1, we are identifying the interim location that we will move into in May. And 2, the Department of General Services is conducting a feasibility study. As the Department of General Services shared last time, the feasibility study is necessary to determine our options for redevelopment. For those of you who attended our last town hall, you saw a presentation from the Department of General Services that laid out 3 options. 1, conduct essential repairs. 2, conduct essential repairs and renovations to this building. And 3, demolish the building and rebuild. The purpose of the last town hall was to tell you about what's going on with the current building and the fact that we need to move to an interim location. An equally important purpose was to gather input from you about what kinds of things you want to see in that interim location. Our purpose today is twofold. First, we will update you on where we are with identifying our interim location. Then we will discuss the feasibility study and what you want to see included in that. The feasibility study is foundational to what will happen long term with the Waxter Center. So we want to make sure the study includes what matters to you. I will now turn it over to Assistant Deputy Mayor Crystal Billups. After we hear from her, we will have brief remarks from Councilman Blanchard. After that, we will dive into our agenda, starting with Alice Wong, Assistant Commissioner for Community Services within our Division of Aging, who will share the results of the feedback we received from our last town hall and how that feedback is shaping our next steps. Again, thank you all for being here today and for your commitment to the Waxter Center. ADM?
I'm a little shorter. Good morning. I am thrilled to be here with you guys this morning. I attended the first town hall and was really excited about the level of feedback and input and candid responses that you all shared. And so I'm really looking forward to the discussion today. As Dr. Taylor mentioned, my name is Crystal Billups. I am the Assistant Deputy Mayor for Health and Human Services with the City of Baltimore. And on behalf of the mayor, on behalf of the mayor's office, I really want to extend my welcome and thank you for being here. We're excited about hearing from you. While we're here to share updates, we also hope that this is an opportunity for you to share your feedback and input with us on those updates. I do want to underscore, and I won't be before you long, but I just want to underscore that the city is committed to assuring that the plan and the next steps of the Waxter Center are informed by you all today. And so thank you again for joining us. The input that you share is going to be critical for the city's leadership, as well as for the health department's leadership, as well as general services to inform next steps. And so with that, we've said at the first town hall how important the discussions are, and I want to emphasize again that we are committed and these conversations are incredibly important for our next steps. So thank you all for being here on this rainy day. We're excited about this strong attendance that we have today, and we're looking forward to hearing from you all. And so with that, I'm going to turn it over to Councilman Blanchard and for us to get started.
Thank you, Assistant Deputy Mayor. So first off, I just wanted to send the regrets from Councilman Jones. This has been an incredibly important project that he has been really focused on. I know I see several folks in here who he has been very involved with. I've been involved with as well. His grandmother was sick this morning. He's taken her to the hospital. His family is incredibly important to him. And so I think it's a pretty good excuse to miss an important event like this. On my end, I just want to say kind of how I think about something like what we're working on today. So I remember when we at the first town hall, there was a lady who stood up and just talked about how important the Waxter is for her sense of community, right? And the fears. Oh, is that lady? There you go. Thank you, ma'am. And I remember seeing a lot of heads nodding in agreement when that was brought up. My own grandmother I'm from South Louisiana, have a much smaller senior center than this, but she's there 4 days a week for breakfast to lunch, bingo, all that good stuff. And it's a incredibly important part of her life, really. And so it is completely intuitive to me how important this is for our older adults. And so I know that there's a lot of good reason to be concerned with something like this. I can assure you that both Councilman Jones and myself, this is a top priority of both of ours to help get this figured out. And I've really appreciated the work that Dr. Taylor and her team in the mayor's office has been in trying to get up to speed and get all this figured out as fast as we can. So with that said, I will pass it back off. There you go. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to have a lot of movement of this mic today, apparently. All right, so next up, we will have Assistant Commissioner Alice Wong provide an update of what we've heard, as well as a presentation moving forward. Thank you.
Thanks. It's a good thing Saudi and I are just about the same height, so it all works out for both of us. Thank you all so much for coming out to this second town hall. And if I have not spoken with you yet or met with you yet, my name is Alice Huang. I'm one of the assistant commissioners. And we wanted to share out, first of all, the things that we heard from you all at the last town hall. So the things that you guys were providing in terms of your feedback, the table discussions, the notes that were taken, I wanted to share a quick synthesis of what we heard from you. So a huge thing, I just want to kind of spell out what the room looks like. From the responses in the room, we saw that a majority of folks here are between the ages of 75 to 84. And we understand that that is really the prime group that utilizes this space. And we want to really consider that as we think about next steps. With that, again, echoing what Councilman Blanchard said, it is really important you guys see that this space is a space for fellowship, for connection, to have time to spend with one another. It is very clear that folks feel like this is a family. And so we want to honor that and say that we abundantly hear that very clearly. Some things that folks shared with us in terms of how you got here, there were a lot of folks who shared that they took either a taxi or a rideshare program. Other folks talked about taking MTA mobility, and other folks talked about just public transportation. And those are the top 3 responses that we saw from this group in terms of how you get to the center. In terms of activities, one of the things we heard were the biggest things folks use from this space is the meal program, the Eating Together program that's offered here. We understand just how much trips and outings mean to folks in this space as part of the senior center community, and also the importance of exercise and fitness classes. We know that there are classes offered here, things like what Misha provides here at this space, things like morning yoga and chair yoga, and all these activities are really important to folks. And so we also were able to hear that from you all. From there, we were talking about next steps. And when folks were sharing, what we heard was if we were to move to another location, having some sort of transportation service is important. It's something that can take folks to and from this location if we were to offer a site, and for people to be able to access it that way, and to understand that transportation is a huge need. The other thing that we heard from folks were some of the programs that you all wanted. Just to name a few, folks really appreciated the importance of having a space to play games, to have recreation, something that can provide space for a gym or a fitness center for fitness classes. We have heard repeatedly from folks the importance of swimming and a pool, so we want to say that that is something we've heard. The idea of having recreational sports, that was something that folks were bringing up in terms of having more physical engagement type of activities. And going back to the idea of large-scale special events, having arts and crafts like ceramics, sewing, crochet, and having a space for storytelling, and also an outdoor space, green space for gardening, or having a space where you can grow things. And so these were some of the big things that we heard from the group during the conversation. And then, okay. In terms of the feedback from the surveys for what folks wanted, it was very clear that everyone wants to stay together. That is one thing that we heard loud and clear, is that the Waxter Center members want to stay together. And so with that, the top response was that you all want to find a temporary space where everyone can come together and stay together. So that is the biggest thing that we heard. Other options folks named as these are okay temporary options for the meantime are maybe we can attend another senior center as a short-term option, and also the ability to, so what I will say is I am hearing that we want a temporary space, and we want to honor that. What I am saying is in the ranking of what people have mentioned, here are the other ways of how that was scored. Okay, so we don't have to go into those spaces. We can keep going, but I want to iterate loud and clear. You all want to stay together, and you all want a space to stay together. So that is something that we are hearing abundantly clear from folks. All right. As we are talking about what you would want in a temporary space, we were looking at these factors. And these things that folks shared are things that we are trying to consider and factor in as we continue to look at options. So we are seeing that folks want a space large enough to host the members of the center. We want to make sure there are multiple rooms where multiple different types of programs can be offered at the same time. We are looking at multi-purpose spaces. If it is multiple stories, an elevator is very important to have. We want to make sure there's ventilation, well-aired space. We want to make sure there is appropriate access to public transportation, and that there is parking if available, like for folks who are coming and driving. And also, we talked about wheelchair accessibility, also making sure that any restroom space is handicap accessible. Also, knowing that we want a space that is available for us to host the meal program, so making sure that is still a part of whatever space we're in. Making sure we have storage to be able to put aside supplies, equipment, anything that a senior center needs to function. And again, this idea of room variety and social and communal space. So those are the big things that we heard from this room. And I will say that this is what we are using to kind of shape the type of locations that we're trying to identify, because we know that these are things that folks here are valuing. So we are trying to make that a priority when we are trying to filter through all the different options that are available. Okay. So in terms of the temporary site options, what I will say is we are actively looking into sites right now. We are reaching out to partners, we are reaching out to organizations, we are actively showing folks, hey, this is what we want this space to be able to provide. And so we are going to be able to provide some details at our next town hall in terms of what those details will look like, but we are still finalizing those details. So we will not be sharing that today, but we will be providing more details at the April town hall. So I want to just reiterate that we are actively looking at spaces. I will tell you it is a part of my schedule at this point to actively look at options. And so what I will also say is if you have other options that you want to present, we will certainly put that on our list and explore them. So we are completely open to suggestions. We are looking into it, and it is an active part of what we're doing right now. So I just want to tell you all that, and we will provide more details at the next town hall for next month. I realize I keep pointing at the wrong direction for this pointer. But in that, I want to go back to Dr. Taylor sharing. We will have a question and answer after this piece. And if you do have questions, we have index cards at each table. If folks want to, you are more than welcome to write your questions down on the index card, and we will also bring those questions forward. So I just want to make sure folks know that that is an option. Okay, so going into the feasibility study, if you all remember at the last town hall, the Department of General Services had shared that they're looking at the three options. Dr. Taylor also repeated that this morning. We are looking at immediate repairs, we are looking at renovation options, and there is that final option of demolish and rebuild. In terms of today, what we want to get your feedback on is understanding the scope and scale of what this feasibility study should include. And so I'm going to go over two specific factors. One is, if I can go to the next, okay. One is really, so as a reminder, the feasibility study is really focusing on these three main categories. One is the scope of work for each option, what is needed to be included. Another is the estimated timeline for each of these projects. So how long would a renovation take? How long would immediate repairs take? All of those pieces. And finally, what the proposed budget is for each of those types of options, okay? And so what we want to hear from you all, specifically for today, we want to talk about the immediate repairs. And what I mean by that is we know that the HVAC, the heat, the AC system needs to be repaired and replaced. We also know that there's things like the roof that also need to be repaired and or replaced. And what we want to hear from you all is, as folks who use this building on a almost daily basis, you know and you see all the critical things in this building that need repair. I am in this building every once in a while and I can see certain things, but you all see it on a daily basis. And so we want to make sure that whatever we include in this feasibility study for immediate repairs lists all the critical things that folks in this room would categorize as essential repairs. And so we want to hear that from you all and make sure that the list that we give is comprehensive when we start this feasibility study. The next part is about renovation. So this is one step above those immediate repairs. And I'm giving some examples here. These are things that you would want to see changed in this building. So for example, we know that there is a pool on the second floor. Maybe instead of keeping it on the second floor, the idea would be to move it to the first floor, right? So there are things like that. Or maybe you would want to see more windows on the first floor. Or maybe there are things where you would want to see this theater space upgraded. So what we want to understand for you all is, if we wanted to see some critical renovations, what are some things that come to mind for you? Because a feasibility study of having a swimming pool repaired and maintained on the second floor would be very different from us having a swimming pool on the first floor. Right, so we want to make sure that whatever we're factoring is kind of reflective of what folks are hoping this space can become. So we will be asking you guys to provide that input, okay? And then the other thing that I do want to bring up is that we did talk to the folks at the Department of General Services, and one of the things that they are offering to us that we want to establish is this idea of a 5-member committee for the feasibility study. And one of the things that we would like to establish for this 5-member committee is for this group to really encompass and represent the folks at the Waxter Center. So what does that mean? We are looking for folks who are both board members and non-board members. We are looking for people who live in the community. If you use the Waxter Senior Center and you live nearby, across the street, accessible, we want to hear from you as well. Some other things, we're looking at age ranges. So, I said that a majority of the folks in this room are between the ages of 75 and 84. So we want a good chunk of this group to have that representation. But we also want to have at least one person under the age of 75 and at least one other person over the age of 85 to make sure that we have all the needs and include everyone's voice in this process. Okay, and then the other things is we want to make sure folks who are part of this committee are active members of the center, have shown active participation in the center, but we want to make sure that you are really representing the Waxter Senior Center in this process. And so what that would include in terms of this committee would be, once the scope of work is created for this feasibility study, we would be sharing that with you, and you as a committee would be providing feedback on that draft of scope of work for what would be included in that study. The other thing is, once DGS has a consultant who is part of this feasibility study, this committee would join that consultant in a walkthrough of the building so that they can hear from you all about the concerns and the desires for the space. And finally, there would be additional time to discuss and review any draft feasibility study for this group. And so we will talk more, but we are inviting folks in this room who are interested in participating to put their name down, and we will be following up with you in terms of what that selection process looks like and what that will include. And we will have our facilitators help you with that sign up later today. But those are the main things that I wanted to provide as updates for this group. And I will hand it back to Sadia to take us to the next piece. But thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you so much, Assistant Commissioner Huang. Really appreciate the presentation that you provided. We're gonna move into what is our question and answer period. You have 2 ways to do this. Where are my mic runners? Jose, Victoria, raise your hands high up. Everybody say hi to Jose. Y'all, come on, we can do better than that. Everybody say hi to Jose. There we go. Everybody say hi to Victoria. There we go. Okay, that's great. Now, there are 2 ways we can ask you all. Dr. Taylor will be coming up to do our question and answer period. They have mics that you can use to ask questions. There are, if you so choose, cards at the table, and facilitators, if you would like their support, if you want to write down your questions on those cards, and we would also like to bring them up. So without further ado, Dr. Taylor.
Thank you, you all. All right, you all. Now is my favorite part of what we get to do here and in all of our town halls. And I will tell you, before I call on the first person or ask for hands, I already have some questions. So I'm going to read out these 2 questions, and then I'm going to do my best to answer them, okay? So my first question, and I love this, somebody put y'all here, so they must have known it was going to be me reading it. So, why did y'all wait so long to tell the seniors Waxter Center was closing in May? Well, the reason why we waited the time that we waited was, to be quite honest, my team was hoping that I could make some magic happen and figure out how we could budget to get that HVAC system repaired. It just wasn't there, you all right? And so that's why we delayed telling you all that we had to be out in May. But please know that it really is a safety issue for us. We cannot have you in a hot building for the summer. The second question, and I'm going to get to you all in just a second. The second question is, why is Dr. Taylor heading the project when she can't address our questions and concerns? Great question, right? Because I've been here for 7.5 months. But what I can tell you is that, and there are a lot of people in here who are leaders. If you weren't leaders, you wouldn't be sitting here. And what I can tell you is that as a leader of an organization, whether you've been there 2 days or 7.5 months or 10 years, then when there is a major project, and especially from a local health department standpoint, when there is a major concern in the community, the leader of the organization is supposed to take on the project and take on what the community has a concern about. So what I would say is stay tuned about whether I can address questions and concerns. What I can promise you is what I promised the participants that I met on day 2 of the job, that I will always be honest with you about what is possible, and that I will always make sure that as an organization that we are listening to you and lifting up your concerns. And so with that, we're going to take the next question. Who is first? My mic runners are supposed to be helping me identify folks. Here comes Jose, so I see him.
So we're going to try to zigzag, Dr. Taylor, from one room to the other.
Wonderful.
They ask how many questions can they ask? 1 per?
Well, what I would ask is that each person who raises their hand asks 1 question so we can give as many people an opportunity to speak that would like to speak.
Hello, my name is Rose Ham. My name is Rose Ham. I am.
So, Ms. Ham, before you get started, I will ask that you just hold the microphone right here.
Like this.
So that if we have anybody who is
Testing.
recording, they can hear you.
Can you hear this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Hello, Commissioner. It's a
Yes, ma'am.
pleasure to be in your presence again.
Thank you.
Also, our councilman, Mr. Blanchard, thank you so much for working with us. Back in 2014, when the mayor, Blake, was in charge, and I have the documentation, this facility was supposed to have been overhauled then. This is before you came, so you came to the minutia. At one point, the air conditioning system in this building was priced at $1.2 million to be repaired. Supposedly, it's $8.6 million now. I personally don't believe that, and I'm getting an independent analysis of our air conditioning system in this building. My question is, General Services has not responded to any of my requests on behalf of the seniors in this building for their budgeting for this building to make repairs. Each session or quarter, our director submits to the Department of Aging a repair list. We have, and I have a copy of it, 2022, a repair list for this building. Half of those things have not been done. My question is, the Department of General Services needs to give us a full explanation of where monies are going that are supposed to be allocated each year for not only this building, but all of the senior buildings, because most of them are in ill repair. So where did the money go to for this building? And that is so important. I not only have one question to ask, but as seniors in this building, we've had many programs that have been removed because of no funding again, such as Be More Dance, a very good therapeutic program. Why don't they have the money to be here? And I'm going to give you this microphone back because my other issue is, if you feel that we don't have air in the summer and we survived last summer, then why do we have black mold in here that I could have gotten removed in a weekend or a week? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ham. So what I will say is, as far as money allocated for repairs for this building and other senior centers, that's the question that I'm hearing. So the answer to that question is this. The good thing about working for government is you can go back into the records and you can pull the budget for each and every year since, I think you said 2014. Yes, ma'am. So what I will do is I will go and see why the answer is no and bring that back to this group. Do I have a mic? Yes.
I'm Becca Holloway. I've stood up before. I also have worries about the money. Does this mean the endowment will be giving over to health services like they did $100,000 a part of this endowment? Is my understanding was given to them when we moved into this building. And I want to know why when we request things, we don't even get a response of any kind. Also, what you need to add to your list of repairs is plumbing. The ceramic room up on the second floor has no plumbing services because it rains down in the kitchen when we use our water system. So I have to walk down to the other end of the building to clean stuff. And that, and then I worry about leaving stuff a mess, even though I try to clean up. So we've got more than just building problems here. There seems to be a lack of, community or just understanding that we need our supplies. We haven't been able to get ceramic supplies. We're buying our own because we can't get any help and it just doesn't work. And I've seen the documentations about asking for repairs since 2014 and beyond, and also earlier than that. So, my concern is, why are we moving or even fixing this place if in 2 years we can't come back to it because you guys have made a decision that we should either stay or go to other places? I walk. I don't own a car. I'm not part of mobility. And if I can't walk to the place, it's a problem. It's also, when you put a rollator on a bus, you have everybody looking and saying, why can't you move that, move that, move that? And I have it closed up, pressed against me so people can walk by. But it's not a fun thing to ride a bus with a rollator.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's my concern, is why are we not getting the money? And are we going to have to lose the $100,000 endowment that we've got? And have you talked to any of the Waxter family to see how they feel about this money being used for who knows what?
Thank you for that question. So as far as the $100,000 endowment, I will have to look into that. What I do know is this, that there is a fund that the Waxter family gave many years ago for this building. That is true. It is not managed by the city of Baltimore. It is actually managed by, Alice, tell me if I'm getting the words right, the Civic Fund of Baltimore, correct? Community Foundation of Baltimore, even better. And so, okay, and so it is managed by that foundation, and they put a certain amount of money from investing the original money into that account every year. It is our understanding on the city side, which, like I said, we have no control over that money. It is our understanding that about $12,000 to $14,000 goes into that fund every year, which is a much different number than $100,000. And it's also my understanding that that money can be requested by the auxiliary. Once again, I want to repeat that the city of Baltimore, and specifically Baltimore City Health Department, has no access to those funds whatsoever. Now, we do have budget for our Division of Aging. And so to answer your other question, I will find out how much is allocated towards supplies for our senior centers within our Baltimore City Health Department budget, so that I can bring that answer back to you at the third town hall as far as what is allocated and how it's allocated for our senior centers.
Dr. Taylor,
Yes.
question here.
Hi.
Thank you.
Okay, right here?
Yep.
Okay, hi, my name is Lily Hyman, and my question is in reference to Alice's update that there's a team actively looking for temporary placement for us. My question is, why is not our auxiliary committee a part of that team? Why are we excluded from even looking at temporary locations?
Great question. Thank you for that question. So first, let me say this. We are not excluding you. Remember what I told you before, that I always wanted to be able to come to this group and be honest about what's possible. We are looking at temporary locations, but this is where I get to be commissioner and tell you that I have to make sure before we include any committee in identifying temporary locations, I have to make sure that it is possible that the Baltimore City Health Department can bring those temporary locations to you. If it's not possible, the last thing I want to do is bring a location to you and say, we can use this one, or this one, or this one, and then 2 of the 3 fall through. How upset would you be with me if I do that? And so, right now, we are exploring temporary locations to make sure we know that when we bring you the options, that these are all possible and firm options that we can use as a temporary location for you all. But that is the answer. I'm not trying to exclude you. The team is not trying to exclude you. We are trying to make sure that before we bring you these temporary locations, each and every one that we bring you are firm locations where we will be able to have temporary programming. Who's next?
Good morning. My name is Denise J. And my question is, when you do find us a place, where it's going to be and how long it's going to be? And if not, how long can we stay here?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question. So once we bring you options, what we're doing is the first priority is to find options that are close to this Waxter building, right? But we are also looking at other locations that may not be as close, with the understanding that we will provide transportation to any location that we identify. Now, I'm going to take a couple questions from these cards and then we'll go to another hand. So whoever's next, be ready. And y'all forgive me if I stumble a little bit because I'm having to look at handwriting. Ma'am, what did you say? I'm sorry.
How long are we going to be here if we don't find a place?
Thank you. Thank you for holding me accountable to answering your complete question. So you can only be here until May because we do not have a functioning HVAC. When we get into the temporary location and identify the project, we'll be able to give you a timeline on how long that will be at that temporary location. Thank you for holding me accountable.
Okay. Question.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Tina Samuel. This way. My name is Tina Samuel. I've been coming here for a few years, and I only live a few blocks from here. I just wanted to say a couple of things. One is that you keep on saying this building is old, old, old. Everything around here is over 100 years old. My house was built in 1877. The Belvedere was built in 1901. So we know this neighborhood has a lot of history and a lot of buildings much older than this center here. But what I wanted to I really want a guarantee that we'll be able to come back to this location when the project is completed, whether it's a renovation or whatever it is. And I also want to have that the primary purpose of this place was as a senior center to remain the primary objective, that it remains a senior center and not become something else. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. So you are asking for a guarantee. That's what you're asking for. And everybody in this room knows that I cannot do that. Commissioner of Health cannot sit up here or stand up here and tell you that I'm going to give you a guarantee. What I can tell you is that we are here because it is important to know what you all would like. So what I'm hearing in that question is that you would like to know that you're going to be able to return to this location or a location close, and that it will be a dedicated senior center. That's the question that I'm hearing. And that is what we're working on, and that's why we're sitting here today. All right, I'm going to take one question from the cards, and then we'll take the next question. And forgive me if I stumble, because I'm looking at different handwriting, but I have read all kinds of handwriting, so I should be okay. All right, it says, what are the plans for the new location? There are several questions on here. Why do you say it is going to take 5 to 7 years to build a new center or renovate? We all know a new building can be built within 1 to 2 years. Can we have a written assurance to this building, right? So very similar questions to what we've heard. So first question, what are the plans for the new location? That's why we're here. This is why we're in number 2 of 3 town halls. Why do you say it is going to take 5 to 7 years to build a new center or renovate? Really, when you're thinking about building construction, you try to underpromise and overdeliver when you're talking about a timeline, right? So the reason why I say that is there are so many things that go into constructing a building or renovating a building, especially a building of this size and age. My last friend talked about how we keep saying this building is so old, but like she said, there's a lot of old things around here, right? But we all know, living in Baltimore, that aging buildings have been kept up at different rates of readiness over the last century, right? So some owners have kept up with every little pinhole in the wall, and other owners didn't have the resources, and maybe the roof is falling in. You see what I'm saying? And so, at least for this building, we know that it's going to take a period of time to either renovate, or if the decision is to demolish and rebuild, it will take time to do that. And so that's why we're overestimating more than likely how long it would take to build the building. And then we all know about, okay, that's that one. And can we have a written assurance to this building? That's kind of like the question about guarantee. And so what I will tell you is we are doing everything we can to bring all the information we can to assure you that we're going to bring to you what's possible. All right, next question.
Good morning. My name is Sarah Matthews. And I am the founder of the Empowerment Team. And what our organization do, we advocate for older adults. And I really am disappointed that there is not more of an inclusive meeting. It sounds like we, the older adults, are very angry. And it's not always good to be angry. I think we need to look at the realization. When we were here before, I said that I thought that it would be better if we had a realistic view of what was possible. And I was given by you, Commissioner, the 3 options. If there isn't enough money to make the repairs, there certainly is not going to be enough money to build a new building. With that being said, older adults, we are sometimes hesitant about change. And change is good. So why don't we consider finding a new space and putting in all the things that you said that you wanted to have, and I agree with them. But I would like for us to be able to look at those 3 options realistically, tell us what's possible, and then if we could move from that perspective. And do you have a idea of which one of those are possible? We need to also hear very honestly what you think is possible, and then we older adults, we need to accept that and move forward, because being angry is not going to get us to accomplish what we're looking to accomplish, and we want a safe building to communicate and meet each other. We have to also think about social isolation. We don't want to be isolated from each other, but we want a safe environment to thrive in. So can you start with, because the other thing last thing I want to say is that the 2 issues, repairs that needs to be made, I understand that those are the 2 most expensive things in a building, and the HVAC system. So I don't think it's realistic to stay here. I'm open to trying to find some other place that we all can agree upon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question. Great question. You want me to tell you what I think is possible personally as health commissioner. This is what I will tell you from my experience in public health. and I'm being totally honest here, all three are possible, all right? With the caveat that each one requires a different process to work through government to be able to accomplish and to be successful at multiple steps to make that happen. So let me give you an example, right? And I'm probably going to leave out some steps because I'm still new in this administration and new to Baltimore, but what I do understand is government. And government can be very tricky when it comes to new construction projects and how they get funded and how long it takes to fund. I bet you if you went back in the books for when they actually first built this building, it probably took a while from planning and design and saying we want to build to people actually being able to walk into the building and get programming. I can imagine that it probably took several years, right? But I can't say that for sure, but I will find out by the third town hall because that's an important piece of information. So let's take the example of demolish and rebuild, right? Because I know a bit about that, just on the government side. So a lot of times, if you have one of these projects, you can actually fund them with different sources of money. Because one source of money may say, hey, I will pay this small amount for the planning and design, but I'm not paying anything else, right? So let's say that the local dollars say, I will pay for planning and design, right? But then the state comes along and says, hey, hypothetically, we will pay to knock down the building, but we're not going to pay for anything else, right? And each one of those sources, we hadn't even gotten the building yet, each one of those sources requires multiple votes, multiple people to agree, multiple committees to say, we want this, we don't want this, and then you got to push it through the process to actually get the project paid for, right? So you can just imagine how much time that takes. And then once you get the building knocked down, right? Then you got to start with, okay, we had this planning and design paid for, right? We had the demolish paid for. Now we've got to pay for not only the construction and make sure there's enough money in the budget over multiple years to make sure that as the building goes up, it's paid for, but then we got to pay for all the things that go into a new building, right? And then, so you may by that time say, get some federal money to do those pieces. But that is a multi-year process with, once again, a lot of people agreeing, a lot of votes to be taken, a lot of planning to be done, a lot of people basically staying in their roles for a good amount of time to see the project through. But what I am confident in, and this is why I say it's all possible, is let me tell you about this group, you all. You all are not going to drop this. And I love it. I absolutely love it. And so even if someone else tries to route you in a different direction, that's not happening with this group. And I love that, right? And so what I would say is just know that each thing is possible, but each option comes with its own timeline and many other factors to get it across the finish line. The other thing I can be honest with you is this. Whatever you all decide on, this group is what I am going to work every day while I'm allowed to be Commissioner of Health for Baltimore City Health Department to get across the finish line. That is why we're here. I will work every day to get what you want across the finish line. And if I say, I can't do it, if I come to that conclusion or we're not successful in one of those steps, I'm gonna come back and stand up here and be accountable to the fact that I was not able to do it. So when you ask me what's possible, every single thing is possible. Every single thing. And I'm gonna work hard to determine what it is that you all want and try to get that across the finish line. Next question.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm on the board, I'm on the auxiliary board, and I am the archives committee chair. So for all the questions you need on history of the Waxter Center, my first question is to let you know you are standing on Mr. Tyson's Quaker Freedom March for the slave people in Baltimore City. That is Tyson Street to my left. The Tyson House is in front of the Chase House. And if you study the history of Baltimore City, you'll see that Mr. Tyson fought to stop the slaves that was brought into the city underground, where this building, Lexter Market, are all located. So that's a history lesson. I'm concerned that when we move this building, our archives are going to be lost because they are being donated without our permission to other Baltimore City historic sites. I have been appointed to make sure that our Waxter Center history stay intact. So now here's my question. So I'm asking to be on that committee. My question is to Ms. Billups. The general service people are not here today. So my question is, which was redacted out of all the other questions from the last meeting, Alice Wong just gave me the notes that she promised me from the last meeting this morning, so I haven't had a chance to read them. I stayed late so I could speak to her. I left the building at 6 o'clock yesterday.
Yes, ma'am.
So my question is going to continue to be the criminal format. In Baltimore City, I asked that the contractors who were hired by Baltimore City to repair and keep this building intact. I also asked that the city inspectors who are certified to improve and check every certification in the building, I'm asking for a 2011 to 2005 paper upgrade of the money that was spent for the non-repairs that's obviously not been done to this building. This is a brick building. I have been barred, Ms. O'Donnell, I have been barred off the 3rd floor because of black mold that is not in my space, but it's in spaces where other people are allowed on the 3rd floor. And I have artifacts upstairs, and I was stopped at the front desk, disrespected by Mr. Jose, talked to in the hallway, disrespectful in other office events by your city leaders. I was the first one to raise my hand this morning. I feel like I need a lawyer because when I come in this building, your employees follow me around like I am what? I don't know. But I just want this clearly understood. I am going to proceed with getting criminal investigations on the money that was spent, and clearly all the repairs wasn't done. We should not have an air conditioning system not functioning when we've been paying contractors for years to do the work. We should not be told that we have a 5-year air conditioning system that don't work no more when we've been paying city inspectors to come into this building and certify the equipment that we're working under. I think that all my information is already, the word is redacted. And just to let you know, I have a speech disability. I couldn't speak when I was young. So if y'all misreading some of my language, I wrote it on a card. I write well. So because everybody else got to speak, I'm going to say it is a very disgrace that I have the only storyteller and research lab in any of your 20 centers in Baltimore City and Baltimore County. And it is a disgrace that I am so highly disrespected by your staff who is paid for professionally. You know there's a law in the Robbins Rule of Order book called professional ethics. And young lady, I'm 78 years old. I take care of my business.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that you ask questions of people. Do y'all know that 75% of this room is full with city employees? I stayed here yesterday clearly to take account. So all the city employees in this room, raise your hand. All of y'all from city, come on, be honest. Be honest, raise your hand. Raise them like y'all do us. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. So I'm telling you right now, you are running an unbalanced meeting, and it doesn't matter whether you have a degree or not. I don't have a college degree, but I made sure all my children and grandchildren are master and PhD young people working in Baltimore City, not in public housing. Nothing wrong with public housing. Not in the welfare lines, nothing wrong with the welfare lines. All my children are very educated professional people. So to disrespect me every time I come in this building is an insult to a senior advocate. I am an advocate in Baltimore City. And it is not fair to take what I write and throw it in the trash. To not talk about the things I discuss. Baltimore City is known for their criminal activity. Y'all all should go out and get the book called The Ghost of John Hopkins, because they talk about when Baltimore City was called Mobtown, and the mayors hired the gangsters in the street to beat up the regular people who wouldn't go along with the mayor. That's documented. Ain't Grandmother Edna's words. That's written in our history.
So, Grandma
So
Edna,
I'm saying this to sit down. I think it's an insult to have me catch a car from Parkville, which I live on the city side of Parkville, to come all the way down here, 7.5 miles, and walk in the door and your staff tell me in an open arena, I can't go upstairs to my office. I'm not allowed to do anything. You see your city director sitting underneath of me like I need a police guard. If I need police, I'll go outside and call one. I don't know about that either, but I'm just saying, y'all let everybody else speak. Today, I'm letting y'all know I'm in charge of the archives. I've been in this building longer than most of the members been in this building, just so you know. I'm not a 2-year, I'm not a 6-month, I'm not a convenient resident. I've been in this building since the 90s. I've been here under 6, 7 administrations. And I can tell you exactly when the administration started going bad. There is no pool in this building.
Grandma
Mr.
Edna.
Martin Cruz is deceased. The water in this building, if it's mold on the 3rd floor, why is the mayor's office still on the 3rd floor? Why is that?
Grandma
They
Edna.
left when the air conditioning went up. But I just want to understand why it's so hard for y'all to take anything I write down on a piece of paper and redact it. I'm learning a new word. Y'all gave us a new word, redaction. Redaction. Anything y'all don't want, y'all black it out. So I'm just telling y'all today, we don't need the news cameras because they didn't print what we did anyway. They didn't publish it correctly. But I just want you to clearly understand. I'm standing here because I think that all of you city representatives, all of these top people on the list, every one of y'all should be very concerned, because I'm not going to stop asking for a criminal investigation of the monies, the contractors, and the inspectors that let this building go down to the dirt. And now y'all standing up here all dressed up saying, oh, we're going to find y'all somewhere to go. Where you going to put us?
Grandma Edna.
I'm going to finish. I'm through. I'm through because I already know what I'm saying here in the room. I'm talking to 75% staff and friend of the mayor's.
May I
Yes,
answer the
ma'am.
question? Yes, ma'am. So there were several questions in there. So I'm going to attempt to answer them the best I can. And if I leave out one, my team has taken notes. First, what I want to do is have everyone who is not a city employee raise their hands. Let me see who's here. Okay. All right. Thank you. Because I want to make sure that I know who's in here. And that's a good point. Now, second, Grandma Edna, the reason why we have so many people here is because I will tell you, and let me say this, I apologize if you feel that you've been disrespected, if something hasn't happened the way it's supposed to happen. Please know that I will investigate every single complaint to the fullest. With that said, the city employees that are here at my behest because I believe that I need to have a maximum number of people here to hear from every single person who just raised their hands who has something to say about what's going on at Waxter. One thing I understand is that there are folks like people like you who are experts in storytelling, who have no problem getting on the microphone and telling how they feel and expressing it in such a way that it doesn't matter that you don't have a degree. You are saying it in a way that me with a degree could never say it, and much more powerful. So what I'm telling you is, I have people in this room to make sure that every single person who wants to be heard, who just wants their presence felt, they may not say anything, but they want us to know that they are present and they have a stance on this. I have to make sure that I have people here who are taking that seriously. So once again, I will apologize as the leader of this organization if you have felt disrespected, if anybody else has felt disrespected, if you feel like I've disrespected you. I am apologizing right now, and I'm saying this to you. We are here. We hear you. We're present. We want to know everything that you have to share with us, and that's why you have so many people from the city here. And I'm going to tell you this. The place where I come from, there probably wouldn't have been as many city representatives in the room. But unfortunately, there probably wouldn't have been as many participants in the room too, because people have gotten so apathetic about whether they can actually make change. So let me go back to something that I said before. I am so inspired by you all and the fact that you are willing to come and make your voices heard. And I hope that I can be half as tough and resilient as this group if the Lord blesses me to make it as far as he's blessed you all to make it. So, I think we have burnt up those last 2 minutes. I've got time for one more question. Yes, sir. You've been waiting for a while.
I have. Good afternoon. So what are the requirements necessary for the temporary location? That's one question. And the other question is, are you guys considering, well, that's the first question. And one of the requirements should be an expeditious transition. It's already April. The second question is, have you considered a decentralized, this may not be ideal, a decentralized approach to service delivery, meaning there's Walters, there's the UB Blake Center. So those are my two questions. I know I only have one.
No. You're fine. You're fine. Everybody else took 2 or 3 too. You're good. So first, what are the requirements? The main requirement is that we be able as a city to contract with whoever we would contract with to be able to be in their space for an extended period of time. That's the main requirement. But we actually, as we have looked at locations, have taken into account all the feedback that Alice went through in the presentation, right? So if it has an indoor track, if it has a pool, if it has multi-purpose, we're taking all of that into account. But the main requirement is that we be able to contract because, as you said, it's almost April, right? I'm gonna keep my weeks in March, but I hear you. It's almost April. And so I wanna make sure that even if I have to push through an emergency contract to make sure that we get everybody in the space in May, I can do that. So that's the main requirement. The second thing that you asked is about considering a decentralized option. Yes, we are. And please know that if we go to that option, transportation will be available to each and every option that we give. But thank you for that question. Excellent question. Okay, I think I'm handing it back to our MC. All right.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Really appreciate that. And thank you all for fantastic questions. Let's give a round of applause to the peers in this room. It's not easy to ask tough questions, so thank you so much for that. We're going to move into the next phase or the next part of our discussion here today. And that discussion is going to be at your tables. For this part, there's one person or at least one person who's going to be a facilitator at each table. If you are a facilitator at your table, could you please raise your hand for me? All right, folks, look at the person at your table who's the facilitator. They're going to be helping you with the questions that they have in front of you to discuss the things that Alice talked about earlier, to get that feedback. Once we have that, we're going to go through a process at each table, sharing that feedback through the whole group. We're asking you, inviting you to please stay through the whole of that conversation. So there are pieces of paper there, there are facilitators there, there are also going to be people who are taking notes. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to your facilitators. Please go ahead and get that started. Thank you. All right. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you so much for the conversations. I imagine that there were very rich discussions at each of your tables. So thank you. Can we give a round of applause to the facilitators and the note takers? There you go. That's right. Let's get some energy appreciation for them. Thank you so much, folks, for volunteering your time here today. Now, we had some rich discussions, and we want to ensure that everybody else at every other table gets to hear those conversations. And so we have mic runner, Victoria, and ma'am, I do not know you. Crystal. All right. Welcome to Crystal. What? That's weak. Come on, we can do better. Let's do it. Yeah, that's Crystal. There we go. All right, welcome. Crystal and Victoria are going to go to each table and share this out. But I want to introduce first our Deputy Commissioner, Byron Pugh, who will be leading our share out and then our closeout for the rest of the day. Following that, we will move on to lunch. So thank you so much for your time and inviting Deputy Commissioner up here next.
Hello, everyone. So at this point in our town hall, we are going to shift focus and we are going to allow each table to report out about the conversations and discussions that they've had during this facilitation period. So I want to make sure that everyone is aware that at your table there's a facilitator and a note taker and potentially a representative who will be reporting out. So ideally that was decided during the facilitation session. So we're going to move forward with that and there are 2 mic runners or 2 individuals that will allow for each table to report out so that the whole room can hear what conversations you've had, what's important to you, what as a small group you might have been able to talk through a little bit more related to the information that was shared by the presenters. And hopefully we will be able to bring this information back to the representatives from city government that were not here and make some decisions and move forward with this process between now and the next town hall. So if we can start with table number 8 to our left.
First, my name is Devontre. I am from the Department of Planning. I'm actually one of the executive assistant to the director of the Department of Planning, and the new commissioner of housing, Tim King. So our first response would be the immediate repairs. That what else is critical to building functionality? One of the things, of course, on here was to replace the HVAC and replace the roof. Also, there's a very important mold issue in the building on the 3rd floor. They also, knowing that the Center for Seniors is on the 3rd floor, they want to make sure that that is cleared up. Just talking over the price for the HVAC, making sure that any of the new location or the repairs to this location is done in a good enough time. The renovation. It was asked, what other nice to have ideas do you have? One of the things, of course, was the pool, the upgraded theater and stage, but one of the things was a therapeutic pool for people with arthritis and different bodily functions that could use a therapeutic pool, a 1/4-mile track for walking that is also in another location that is not a senior building, but it is in Cherry Hill, has a location that has a track on the inside. Also a pickleball court. Upgrading the theater system here, multi-purpose and breakout rooms. Also, one of the things that was brought up that I think was important was at one point in time, there was a University of Maryland floor in this building. That's something that would help out all of the people here, some sort of medical form of clinic that they could use and go to for any type of needs help during that time. Also, another thing that was brought up was a multi-generational space for seniors and young people to come share stories. In our communities, we need that type of community space for multi-generational purposes. Also, one of the things, if it was a renovation or moving, some sort of housing, whether it's 2 to 3 floors in some form of apartments for specific seniors or people to come in and live there. And that was about it.
Thank you, Table 8, for sharing that information. That's very, very important information and very useful information. It is our hope that we'll be able to address some of those issues between now and the next town hall as it relates to the temporary facility and or the long-term facility. So if we can now move to Table 4 here in the front.
Our table discuss real.
Ms. Matthews, do you want to face the room?
Sure. Okay. Okay. We discuss the reality as we saw it. And I'm a person who says what I truly believe. And I think that some of the things that we are asking for are not possible because we don't have them at any other space. For an example, it's not going to be feasible as we saw it, and it's only our opinion, to put a pool on the first floor of this building. When you go to the YMCA, which is where I go to swim and for other things, there's a person, a lifeguard that's on duty. There is an instructor, and that person also checks the levels to make sure that there is, what is it called? The chemical levels. And so we don't want to be in a space where we're not going to have that, because then there are going to be some other health issues. And I heard from some people that the pool is used for physical therapy. So physical therapy, I went to the doctor, and my doctor gave me locations where I go to get physical therapy because the appropriate professional is there to guide me through my physical therapy steps. And so we thought that if I was recently involved with a senior center, Forest Park Senior Center, and the building is now closed because the HVAC system was too expensive. Initially, the roof was $50,000. Once the city council person helped to get the roof repaired, then they discovered that there was a $110,000 water bill. Yes. So, okay, I'm going to try to. So what we thought in totality was that what we often have issues with is change. So why not just advocate for a new building and to get everything that we want in the new building and make sure that it's centralized. And one of the other issues that we all agreed upon that was brought up by Sonia is that change is fearful. We don't want to change because it's the fear, and maybe people won't feel that it's ownership. They're taking ownership, but if we go to a new building, we can share with the powers to be what we want in the building and advocate for those things. And we also, when Sonia brought up the fear factor, then I suggested that our next town hall, it would be helpful if the next town hall, we could invite Dr. Thomas Cujo, who is a member of the Commission on Aging, and Dr. Marcia Johnson to talk to us about change and fear.
Ms. Matthews, those are excellent ideas. Thank you very, very much. Table 4, thank you. So just a quick reminder to the group that after this share out, we will be having lunch. So you might want to keep that in mind as you provide your comments. I don't want to delay lunch for anyone, and I'll keep my comments brief. I will add that over the past several of weeks, I've been to senior centers, several senior centers throughout the state. I'm continuing to travel in my role to different senior centers throughout the state. So think big when you're thinking about your long-term senior center plans, okay? State of the art is what we've heard. We've heard it should have the types of amenities that everyone would like to have and take advantage of. So please consider those things when you're thinking about long-term options. If we can move to table 9 and maybe share 1 or 2 key points.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa. I'm with the Baltimore City Health Department, and I was the facilitator and note taker for Table 9. At Table 9, we discussed a lot of what has already been discussed among the group, but some things I wanted to mention was an approach using public health. So if we are going to be providing food, we want it to have a public health approach, respect diet, respect sanitation, what else? Just overall food safety as well. In addition to that, have healthy air, assess the mold, assess asbestos, assess water damage. We also discussed drainage. We also discussed accountability of contractors and and inspectors, making sure that they follow any city guidelines. In terms of renovations, some of the things that we discussed was also the pool, an updated theater that's a little bit more closed off so that it can be a little bit more contained, and updated technology, state-of-the-art technology, media, computer, sound systems, and additionally adequate number of outlets. So those were some of the things that we discussed.
Thank you. Can we move to table 1?
Good morning. My name is Herb Merrick. I was the supervisor of the Waxter Center in the 70s and early 80s. So I represent the 10 staff members from the 1970s. We still meet once a year for a reunion. And I'm just at the table here. We just decided to reminisce about what the Waxter Center was, what the Waxter Center is, and what the Waxter Center could be. It was amazing. Very briefly, 3 doctors and 3 nurses on the 3rd floor from the gerontology department of the University of Maryland, 2 dentists, 2 podiatrists for the members, a complete adult daycare program from 9 to 3 with a separate meal. That was the 3rd floor. The 2nd floor, the ceramics room, and in the ceramics room we had classes funded by the community colleges and also hired directly from Waxter Center, macrame, weaving, sewing, and these classes would go on at the same time. We had a Waxter Center chorus that I directed and played the piano for. We had a Waxter Center transportation department with 2 Waxter buses that brought members back and forth. The Waxter Center chorus would go out and entertain at other residential senior centers. I remind you all that the Waxter Center was the first senior center in the United States of America. It is still the largest one in the United States of America, offering senior services. We were open 7 days a week. We had breakfast and lunch over there, pay what you can, 7 days a week. We had entertainment programs, dances with 16-piece orchestra on that stage. We had dance instructors for square dancing, for line dancing, going back to the Macarena days and the chicken dance days. We had, on the 2nd floor, the pool. The pool was therapeutic. We had a physical therapist. We had a lifeguard. We had a physical education instructor. They were full-time. So you could swim, you could walk around, and you could take water aerobic classes. We had art teachers, music teachers. I gave senior piano lessons on the 2nd floor. Down here, what is now the fitness center was all information and referral. That's where you could go to get your food stamps, to get housing assistance, to get your federal and state income taxes, your property taxes helped. Anything you needed, you could get it back there. And I remind you, this was in the era, no cell phones, no computers. Every person had a little dial telephone on their desk for senior services. And we had a wonderful trip person who planned trips, not only day trips or weekend trips to different cities and destinations, but trips to Europe for 2 weeks, ocean cruises. The Waxter Center did everything and was everything. And my wish to you all is that whatever you decide with the city, it can be what it was. Thank you.
Great comments. Thank you. We are going to move to table 10, but again, I just want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to speak. So please share 2 or 3 of the key points from your discussion. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. So our group basically said that they would like a better maintenance staff to keep the building cleaner. And also the pool is not a necessity as far as moving it. They're more worried about the HVAC repairs and things like that. And if the repairs and a new building are running neck and neck with prices, then we want a new building. That's
Excellent.
it.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
If we could move to table 5.
How y'all doing? So at our table, we had mixed reviews. We had a member that is actually, he doesn't care about if the building get demoed or saved. He just loves the programming here at the Waxter. So in his position, even if the building is demoed and replaced with something else, as long as the programming continue at the Waxter, he will go wherever the new building is.
Thank you. If we could go to table 11.
Hi, everyone. My name's Caitlin. I'm with the Department of Planning. And the table here for critical elements, they really want an air purifier system so that it's safe to breathe in here. And make sure that the mold is removed as well as the HVAC and roof. And then for the nice to have ideas, they'd really like to have different types of seating available. So like a living room space, conversation spaces, different types of spaces for different types of needs. Make sure that the programming stays. There were different ideas about whether or not demolition new buildings, but we won't get into that. They want to keep the state-of-the-art exercise room. The outdoor space is really critical, making sure that the fountain is maintained and that there is outdoor space for gardening, a greenhouse maybe, update the bathrooms, have piped in music, different types of music, so state-of-the-art technology so that when you have your, cool classes, I heard about some of the interesting classes lately, they can have that music there. And also a movie theater maybe.
Thank you. We can now move to table 2.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian. I'm a staff member here at the Waxter, and I've been working with the Waxter for over 12 years, so I've seen this place go through a lot of things. Yes. All right, so I'll read some of the stuff. Some of the things are already listed on the feasibility report, but some of the main things are remove the mold from the first to the third floor, the leaks from the ceiling. Also, the permits for the capacity of the area should be inspected. It's been over 8 years since that's happened. And they can't wait for those updates. They want to know what part of May is it looking like that they'll be out, the beginning or the end. Also, they would like a plaque to get this place officially deemed historical because they feel like it is because it is the first and how long it's been. They said they want to relocate the pool to the first floor and the gym to where the pool is. So that was an idea. And which I understand because of the plumbing issue. That's where a lot of the leaks came from. They said, did we look at State Center building for if we have to find a location since that's empty, and also Kirk Avenue and Exeter at the old Coca-Cola building. That's about to close. That was also a former boys' school, so they said that's available. And hold on, I'm trying to roll down. This thing doesn't like me. Now they said what's nice to have, full-scale senior services, doctor's office, all that we said they want that back. After-hour functions and weekend activities because that was their way of making money. They also said they would like the building operation hours to go from 8 instead of 8:30 because a lot of them with their mobility get picked up like 7 o'clock, 7:30, and sometimes the mobility, I'll drop you outside, and then there's no one there because I know a back is like, oh, don't open till 8:30, but they're usually sitting out here, which is true because we've gotten calls and some of us had to come in early just to just be here so they're not sitting outside. So I do understand that. I'm moving through this fast, so sorry if I sound crazy. The fountain outside, they pretty much want that to be a green space. Keep the statue, take the fountain feature out. So no, because people were bathing in there, people were found unalive in there. So they rather have that as a green space with the Oculus. Also a secure fence for the perimeter because there are signs saying no dog, clean up after your dog, but we find logs all the time, like ornaments. And that's the truth. Also, bring back the Waxter as a multi-generational center as it was originally created. Maybe partner with the Board of Education to partner in transportation and participation of students and younger people to have joint programming. Also, proper cleaning materials for our maintenance and janitorial staff. Bring back belly dancing, and more staff and support staff for the building and our current staff. That was the overall thing.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for all of those comments and suggestions and your feedback. If we can move to table 7 now.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Kelly Eastman, Health Department. All right, so. What do you need me to do? Hold on for one second, Crystal. Thank you. All right, regarding the immediate repairs, same thing others have said, roof, HVAC, mold. Regarding the renovations, our group discussed maintaining everything that they have in this building, especially the gym, including game rooms, arts and crafts. They discussed fellowship being very important, so they don't want to be divided. They are not just any other center. We discussed a working kitchen, so being able to have cooking classes, healthy meals, cooking meals. There was a discussion around the center hours, particularly being able to reserve space for additional hours if needed. There seems to have been maybe some potential shift in this over the past month, no longer being able to do this. They want to keep the name Waxter Center. Thank you, Crystal. Keeping the name Waxter Center. I'll say it twice. All right. And then there were also an additional set of questions that the group had. I won't go through each one now, but I have recorded all of them, and I'll share them in my notes with the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you very much for those comments, feedback, and suggestions. If we can move to table 6.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ugo. I work with the health department. A lot of the things that were discussed at our table, kind of similar to other tables. Immediate repairs, practical fixes, HVAC, roof. No need to move the pool, mold, but also the elevator was brought up, just being able to repair it. The biggest concern was the transition in May. A lot of people, they don't want a gap in services, and are very concerned that this is going to happen. Also, more programming for men. Such as like woodworking, carpentry, things of that nature, that can also invite more men into the space. Gardening was very popular, green spaces, landscaping, things of that nature. There's been a drop-off in services in terms of, a concern of whether that's because of the uncertainty surrounding the center. So really just continuity and being able to have some sort of transition in which everybody's able to stay together as the center, because the center has a very strong identity that people resonate with. So thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to move to table 3.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Nicole Braxton. Some of the issues we discussed was that they would like to have adequate parking. They would like to know about transportation. So it was mentioned that transportation, this would be the meeting spot for transportation. How is that going to be organized? Because if a bus only holds maybe 30 to 40 people and you have 80 people outside waiting, so they would like to know how that would be facilitated. rental fees, where they used to have parties and special events, they want that to come back. Social, they want a larger social area. The activity rooms, they would like all of the activity rooms to be updated, new furniture. The mold issues, they had trouble with the third floor with the mold, but they had somebody from the mayor's office located upstairs, and they wanted to know why they couldn't go up there. They couldn't use that third floor. What else? Huh? But you all couldn't, and they wanted to know why that was. I have a whole mess of stuff here.
Yes, we are going to
Yes.
wrap up very soon.
Okay, this is the last one. Wherever they're placed, they would like a kennel to be there for ceramics class, for their ceramics class.
All right. Thank you for your comments and your feedback, and we can provide additional information related to questions or concerns related to how the building's currently being utilized. Now we're going to move to our final table, table 12.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda. I work for the health department. I manage a quick plug for the Senior Companion Program. So if anyone is interested in a stipended volunteer opportunity, let's talk. Okay, for immediate repairs, we brought up, of course, the HVAC and the roof. The plumbing issue, someone mentioned there's water under the ceramics room. Of course, the mold remediation. Someone said the doors are very hard to open on this floor, the external doors, and general electrical upgrade. For some renovation nice to have ideas, we talked about upgraded activity rooms like a dance room, a gym area, about the stage, like new lights and a new sound system. And then the pool, upgrade or replace the pool. Also a computer lab.
Thank you. Thank you. So really quickly, I just want to add that I hope no group felt rushed. I hope every group felt heard. I wanted to make sure that we stayed on schedule, but we had an opportunity for each group to report out. What you're sharing during the question and answer session and what you're sharing during this portion of the program is extremely important for us to use that information moving forward. I want to add that the next town hall will be April 28th. April 28th at this location. The date was changed from what might have been on the registration form when you signed up for this town hall. So please make that adjustment, and hopefully everyone here and others can attend. I just want to thank you for coming out. I want to thank you for your participation, your contributions to today, and we are very invested in this process. And moving forward, we want to make sure that your voices continue to be part of how we shape our decision making at the health department. Our health commissioner is very committed to being present, available as needed, and we are just working very, very hard on your behalf.